Hello traders, welcome to another Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market analysis. I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time, so I want to be taking a look at the bigger picture, really kind of going into some detail on what I think will be happening over the coming weeks and months, not only from Bitcoin but also in the altcoin market. I want to be looking at this cycle, previous cycle, what we can take from previous history with Bitcoin, and yeah, really just kind of have some ideas now that we've had this massive move down and a big shakeout across the market of yeah, what the most likely scenario is. So I do have my opinion on this. I do have a quite strong bias going forward now of what I believe will happen next. I am planned for this scenario, but I am also planned for alternative scenarios as well. So yeah, let's get right into it. Just very quickly, I don't think I really need to cover this. If anyone's seen any of my streams or other recent videos, you'll know my thoughts on this dump that we've had this week. Forget the news, forget all of this FUD that's been going on. This is bull market FUD. It happens. It acts as a catalyst to do something that would happen anyway. It's just accelerated the process and maybe taken things a little bit further than they otherwise would have done. But what I really do believe is that what this market has that it hasn't had any time really in history is just an insane amount of greed up at these highs, overexposure on high leverage, and that had to get flushed. So basically, anyone in a leveraged position from up at these highs is no longer in that position anymore. That is enough to liquidate anyone with any leverage on their account. A 50% move down, you're done. So that's a really kind of just, first of all, a very interesting thing of why I think price went as far down as this, because so many people, after going through 2-3 month consolidation and we break up, lots of people bought this breakout. Very fast move down. A lot of people then expecting to be able to get out and being like, okay, we can go back to all-time highs again now. Never happened. Everyone from here who did not close has been liquidated, and that's a really important thing that I think the market has done in order to just reset things, get a bit of rationality back into this market, and to move forward in a very nice, technical, fun to trade way again. So for anyone who did get wrecked during this move down, again, sorry about that. It's difficult for everyone. Like, I'm holding Bitcoin, and to see my positions go down this far is a tough thing to take. But you need to learn from this, and yeah, just moving forward, just don't go getting overexposed at highs. This is where you should be selling. This is where you should be reducing exposure up on these highs, and this is where you should be getting greedy. Everyone knows already I was selling a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of alt positions when we were up at these levels. I bought it all back down here, and now I'm ready for what comes next. So yeah, that just kind of covers a little bit of my thoughts on this move down. That is the main thing for me, is it's just over leveraged traders. I'll go over a couple of kind of graphs in a minute of what I was seeing and how you could have foreseen this coming, not just from a technical perspective. I know I've got a chart on here right now. We did come into a point of control. We came into a technical resistance. We hit technical support, but that's I'm really not too fussed about that right now. So bigger picture, I just want to show everyone this as well. So this is kind of the relative unrealized profit and loss, and this is what I was talking about as, for me, being the main catalyst of what we've seen on this move down, is that we were getting to kind of dangerously greedy levels up here, within this like optimism denial stage of this chart. Just people getting way too bullish, and it needed a bit of a reset, and this has given quite a nice reset here. So you can see previously, like in the last market cycle, when Bitcoin was at 3K, when it was at 5K, we were in this area, and we were in this area for a long time. So optimism is okay, but when you're right at the highs, like here, and you're getting into kind of delusional greed, things need to reset, and it's very much like what we have seen. And if you look at just the shape of the graph here, you kind of look at how things have come up. We enter into this almost this greed phase, and then it just capitulates down, very similar to this price that it's doing right here. And this is just something that I think shows where I believe we are within this market cycle right now. Another thing I want to show is just the distance away from the 200-week moving average at the moment. So all of these lines just show kind of the monthly increase of the 200-week moving average and how far away we are getting from it, so how exponential we're going. And again, you can see how it lines up quite nicely with it's kind of a cross between these two early corrections that we had with Bitcoin back in the 2017 cycle. So again, no reason for me to think that the top is in, just a substantial correction at this point. And you could almost say that this is like acting as two corrections in one, whereas we had two 35% corrections here. We've had one 50% correction here and a little 30% correction. So yeah, you can kind of take similarities to what's happened in the past. It's not the same, but yeah, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And that's something that you will hear kind of repeated a lot within this market. And you do get these repeating patterns, or these similar patterns that do keep occurring. The final chart I just want to go over is this. I know everyone has probably seen this, but the pi cycle top, which would lead us possibly to believe that there is a slightly longer correction coming, and maybe we are going to get one of these double peak cycles, more like we saw back in 2013. So you can see how when, like, I don't put too much on all of these, but they're interesting to see just from a bigger perspective. I do like to be aware of them, but you can see when you get these crossovers, corrections do occur, and there were times during the previous cycle where it was very close to doing so, and there were times during the cycle before where it did cross over. And that doesn't, again, mean to me that this is a top that's put in. Things went very, very high very, very quickly, and this is a very natural thing, in my opinion, to happen. So again, macro analysis going on here. We're either looking at this as being a correction and another move up for me, or a longer range, a larger range now that is put in with a double peak kind of cycle that we may see. So nothing bearish for me on any kind of chart that I'm really looking at. This is why I'm happy to be fully exposed once again back at these lows. So yeah, that's kind of my thought from those charts. Another thing I want to show, so anyone who is within our Discord community, you'll all know by now the French Bull, who is our resident Elliott Wave and Wyckoff expert, and I'm sure he will not mind me showing some of these charts on this video as well. Is that we have, again, pi cycle top, Wyckoff distribution, all of these things that have been going around for the past few weeks of what is likely to happen here, alongside a lot of greed in the market. And we have seen that this stuff has played out, and we've had this move down. So I really like this chart. You can see very clearly how we have this accumulation phase, followed by a markup, followed by distribution, markdown, and now we're in reaccumulation again, quite possibly, unless we start really kind of going below. But you can see here very clear levels where if we come below certain areas, bears are very much in control. If we come back up to these 50, 60k areas, then you can start to get extremely bullish again, and everything in between gives us a really nice range to trade. So we can see here a very similar schematic going on. So we're almost in this range below the range right now, and maybe we start to see some reaccumulation here, or we see a spring and we get straight back up above this 42 to 45k area within the next few weeks, and then this just acts as a very deep spring, which will give us a very strong move higher. So again, trade a range or or bullish. So yeah, you can kind of see the repeating theme here of my thoughts on Bitcoin. We also have this very nice Elliott wave count again from the French bull, which is, again, thinking of this as being this wave 4, which is now in. So take this from the COVID crash. We had our initial move up out of our big 80-day range last summer. Up 2 was put in as the back test. We have come up now to kind of the peak of this phase of the cycle. We've had that correction, and now we're looking at higher prices again. And this lines up quite nicely with Fibonacci analysis that you can do on the charts, and also what I was kind of saying back here. I was saying this ages ago. People were asking me, and I was saying, where do you think the bull market's going to end eventually? And every time I get asked that, I always say somewhere between 180 to 220k. I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah. My main plan at the moment is still for that scenario to play out. I still see this as being the first major correction in a bull run, and we will see higher prices later this year. So I think that's enough on Bitcoin. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I am now back very exposed into Bitcoin. Altcoins are a different story though. So this is again another chart you'll see thrown around a lot, just showing the money flow through crypto. We get this every cycle, and yeah, starts off, people are in cash, move into Bitcoin, into the large caps. We saw Ethereum moving, we saw the low cap, the mid caps moving, we saw the low caps, Doge, Shiba, a load of just crazy stuff, all just, yeah, going a little bit mad over the last few weeks. We had coins, there must have been at least kind of 20-30 dog coins out there. There must have been at least 50 food-based coins out there, all getting kind of multiple hundreds, thousands of % return in the space of a few weeks. So things got silly, and now we've seen that move back. So we saw the move back into fiat from the smart money selling, and this is what kind of, if you have been in this cycle for long enough, you'll know, always move back when you sell your altcoins. Get it into get some US dollar tether there, get some USDT, get some US dollars, put it back into cash, whatever you want to do. Put some back into Bitcoin and just start paying yourself those profits. We've now had that crash into Bitcoin, and again, I would expect this cycle to now repeat. I do think Bitcoin regains dominance here. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks, that alt season coming to an end, and yeah, we should expect some dominance to come back from Bitcoin now, and that would have either been, so going back to my chart here, that would have either been in the form of Bitcoin forming this range here and breaking up out of it, which would cause alts Bitcoin pairs to go down. But the better way to do it, and to crush everything and to cause this complete reset, is a big move down that not only destroys the Bitcoin price, but takes all of the alts down with it. And then we can start to think, okay, reaccumulate, move on from there. So I want to give some examples of what I think, or what I'm planning for with altcoins. So let's just start off with my thoughts of when the last time Bitcoin went on a big run was back here in September. So we had a big reset. This was the DeFi summer, the big rug pull that we had afterwards at the beginning of September. And that marked the start of this bull run. So we had this first parabolic phase of the bull run, which culminated in this top around 40k before reaccumulation, and then into distribution. Yeah, so I think we're probably, or I'm planning to see something like this again over the next few months. So what happened to alts here is that very similar. People got bullish on Bitcoin. Coming up, we had this like phase of accumulation that it seemed to be into your point of control, into a very technical level, exactly what has happened recently, into a technical area, into a point of control, and it fell off of a cliff. And at this point, this was 1st of September. So if anyone was trading this range back here, you'll know that alts were just popping off like crazy. We had a big alt season back here, and this was the last one we had before what we've just kind of gone through over the last few weeks. And then everything changed pretty much overnight, and it took us down to previous support. And yeah, then something very interesting in the market happened, and we saw that money flow that went out of altcoins back into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin went on this big run. So just to go over some examples of what I do think, and if you are sat in alt positions, again, no financial advice, and I cannot advise you on what to do. I still have spot holdings in altcoins, and I still believe that there are many altcoins that will do very well over the next few weeks and months. But for the market as a whole, I just want to go through some patterns that have happened previously, and just to give people an idea of what I think is quite likely over the next few weeks. So we look at Link. Link was one of those that throughout last year, probably the best performing asset of the year in 2020. But what happened? So we come here, and this topped out a little bit early. So you could say this is like a Cardano or a BNB or something that really peaked very early in its alt season, and then put in this range. So yeah, similar to Binance, similar to Cardano, similar to VeChain, Ethereum to an extent, although that did come later, and certainly Doge as well. BC here on the 1st of September, you had this massive move down, which is what we've seen across the market now. And it came up, back up into what was previously support, started to hold it as resistance, and then we saw a downtrend start to occur. And that went on for a good, yeah, more or less, 4 months here, September into January. And we had an 80% correction against Bitcoin on Link. But if you look at the US dollar chart, then you see 1st of September, big capitulation, back into an area that was once support, but it then just forms a nice range within this area, because clearly Bitcoin is at this point moving up quite nicely. And yeah, it's able to hold its dollar value a lot better than it's able to hold its Bitcoin value. You see, big downtrend and a nice range. Then let's take a look at DOT. So again, one of the best performing assets of that big alt season we had last year. 70% correction, big downtrend. You have a capitulation, you come back into what was previously support, start the downtrend, and a 70% correction there. But then you go onto the US dollar pair, big capitulation, back into previous support, form a range. Then look at Uni. Again, Uni, what does Uni have in common with the other two? It performed very well last September. What happened in September? Big capitulation, back into previous support, form a downtrend. 84% correction. You look on the US dollar chart, big capitulation, back up into what was previous support, and then you form more of a range. This was a bit more of a downtrend because this was a pretty insane sell-off early on Uniswap. That was really the rug pull event of the whole thing, and its correction happened very quickly. But you can see again, once things calm down, forms a nice range here, and then it starts to move back up. And I do think that's what we're going to see, is a short-term downtrend on a lot of alts against the Bitcoin pair. Whilst Bitcoin is in a range itself, I think we see alts start to bleed against it. And then we can start looking at a reaccumulation phase later on in the year. So let's have a look again at this Bitcoin chart. So what this could give us an idea of is, say, Bitcoin now has a lot of resistance above it, a lot of resistance above it. But we do have a nice range here still, which it can continue moving through for the next couple of months, maybe even longer. So we could see Bitcoin playing around in this range, filling out this space where there's not an awful lot of volume. A lot of the transactions have been taken place up here and down here. Let's fill out this space in the middle. Whilst it's doing this, I do expect altcoins to come down quite significantly in price, because Bitcoin will not be moving enough for alts to kind of, for the US dollar value at least, for it to keep up. This is very generalized, and I'm just kind of giving my thoughts again. But yeah, I don't think Bitcoin is just going to do this, which will save the US dollar value of a lot of altcoins. And I do think we start to see this downtrend in alts while Bitcoin ranges. Then as Bitcoin starts to come up, we can get that reaccumulation phase with a lot of altcoins as well, ready for the end of this big market cycle, which could come later in the year. So I just want to show this again. Ethereum. Ethereum's pretty extreme, to be honest. And I do think we will see a move up in Ethereum over the next the next week or two, but I would expect either this resistance or this previous support or this support to act as resistance. So maybe it starts to form this range here, or maybe we do come up a little bit higher and start to test up here. But the top is in for Ethereum. I've been saying that since 4,200. This is where I sold my Ethereum, and yeah, played out quite nicely. I have bought I bought some Ethereum at 2,500. I bought some Ethereum down here, and yeah, I wouldn't mind at all to see Ethereum kind of do something like this, put in a range, and then we can start looking later in the year at another move higher. And Litecoin looks pretty awful, to be honest. What was previous resistance? Actually, not even what was previous support. So it hasn't yet come up here, but again, it could do. I would expect, possibly a bounce to come back up to this monthly level on Litecoin at some point. But again, I can't. The market now is so thin, and people have been so wiped out that there's not really anyone bidding this anymore. Yeah. When it's going like this, you get a lot of people's attention, and retail can help to push prices higher. But if no one is left in the market, who's bidding here? Who's actually buying here? I think the market is still in shock, and maybe it needs to just take some time to reaccumulate and maybe look for a move higher. But again, I'd say for now, at least medium term, top is in on Litecoin. The one thing we do have on Litecoin still is that it is holding nicely above this area. So I'd say in US dollar value, I would feel quite confident that maybe a range is put in here, and I'm not looking too much lower. I think this $200 area could be a nice support ready for the next phase of this bull market. So Litecoin overall looks pretty awful. It's had a parabolic move up and it's crashed, to be honest. And yeah, what happened the last time it did that is, well, you could just put a little fractal thing on here because it's exactly the same thing basically, isn't it? Maybe we see something like this playing out, which actually would be quite nice. If it came back down here to $80 later on in this bull run, and that wouldn't be unusual. But if it did something like that, I would start to feel very confident again in Litecoin. And that would be a very good buy opportunity. I think we bounce short term because I think Bitcoin will get this bounce, but certainly again, at least medium term top. And that's weeks, months, months ahead, I'd say is in. Link, a little bit different on Link, because again, it did go parabolic, but market structure's a little bit better, and the Bitcoin chart does look nicer. So what Link seems to do when everything else goes through a bear market, and I think altcoins overall will go through a bear market, Link often outperforms. So Link is one of those where it's I still think it looks quite nice for higher prices on both the Bitcoin pair and the US dollar pair. So we will see what happens with that. That remains one of the very few altcoins that I am bullish on at this stage. But again, it's the same thing that's happened to everything so far, is what happened. Previous support has now been turned into resistance, and we can expect to move down. Whether that is support here or whether that is support down here, I don't know at this stage. But again, I would probably expect the range to form. Maybe if Link does prove to be one of those one of the better performing assets over the next few months, because it has history of being able to outperform Bitcoin whilst other alts cannot, then yeah, I will remain more bullish on Link. And then you get some small caps. There's still a lot of things will still move. You have Cardano, which had a really nice reaction, but again, previous support is now resistance. Okay, so what do I think is likely to happen on Cardano is probably a slow bleed back down to previous resistance. Yeah. And maybe that will just give us a nice range forming, as we saw with the September stuff, between this $1 and $1.80 kind of area. And then you'll get the odd few that will outperform. So let's look at some of the ones that I like the look of. We still have, this was a clear rejection. This is why you've got to catch things early, because the market started to notice this basically right here when it crashed. So the week that it crashed was when I saw, just a lot of people getting very bullish on BZRX, expecting this breakout. That's why you buy down here and you don't buy the breakouts. If you bought this breakout, you got wrecked, and then you have the back test, and now we're down here. So we'll see what happens with this, but unfortunately, too many people started seeing this, which is why you got to pay yourself early and why you've got to spot things early. Once a lot of the market start to see the same thing, it doesn't often work out too well. CRV is one of those that I think looks nice. So maybe this is one that you could think could outperform. I like where this is at. I like the support that it came into. I like that it hasn't changed this market structure yet, and it still looks pretty constructive here. I like that it took this low, and I think that this range could continue on this. BNB, what did I say? Here's the top. And I was saying that on BNB, like when we were around here, that this would be the top. You can look on my Binance video that was from like over a month ago now. We were back here. I sold my Binance up there, and it's worked out quite nicely. Dot, again, dot, to be honest, looks okay, but I would probably expect a slower grind down before a reversal. EOS looks good. So EOS has had a macro breakout of a 3-4 year downtrend, and what was a big area of resistance could become support. So maybe we might see a grind down on this, but overall I think this market structure looks good, and EOS looks one of those that's good. I'm not going to go over too many more, but you get the idea. Yeah, you get the gist. There will be certain alts that will outperform, but you got to pick and choose them carefully. You've got to be able to spot them at the lows, and there will be no more getting it overexposed at the highs on this market for the foreseeable, whilst this next phase of the bull market continues. So yeah, I wasn't planning on going over so many alts, but again, it's so similar on just about everything. And this is why you mark your levels. Like, look at these levels. This has not changed. Neo, what was holding as support when we go long on Neo, what is now coming back to backtest as resistance? It's just simple weekly, monthly, daily levels. Well, not so much daily. Weekly and monthly levels. You look at a chart, you look on the high time frames, you think, okay, where's the support, where's the resistance here? What does it come back to backtest, confirm it as support, and maybe we're going to see a move down here. So yeah, if things can start to reclaim again, this is where I will start to get more bullish. Or you can still trade these. You look at where the support might be. If we do start to move back down, and you go, okay, well, I can buy this for a bounce. But it's at this point where the longs stop performing like they used to, like last month. Longs were just outperforming, shorts were underperforming. I think we see a different situation now with the altcoin market, where you need to start taking profit a lot more quickly. So yeah, let's see what happens. That is my thought on the market overall. There will be, and that's the thing, there will be altcoins that do outperform in this next phase of the market, but I don't think I think alt season is over. And I would say now that Bitcoin dominance probably gets a nice bounce here, starts to move back up, and then we can start to look at an alt season again later in the year. So, anything else that I wanted to go over? I do not think so. Again, anyone who has not seen my videos before or is not already a part of our Discord community, please do come and join us. Please do also check out our website. So I do daily trading updates. We do streams with the members. We do live trading with the members, so you can come and have a look. This obviously is a members only area, but you can come and join our Discord community. It is linked in the description below and also in the comments of this video. Yeah, I think that is everything I do want to go over. So just to summarize, alt season, I think, over. But probably a little bit too late to be selling those alts. Like, just if you can be patient, spot holdings are okay. They'll probably be okay. But yeah, time for Bitcoin to regain some dominance. Probably let's go to a clean chart. Probably time for us to put in a bit of a range here. I'm not saying reshape to all-time highs. That would be probably a little bit too easy, and that's what a lot of people are expecting. Let's keep this market quiet. Let's trade this market, and let's fill out this space, and then we can start to look for higher prices. Or if we do not get those bids, then let's come down, sweep the lows, and then start to look for higher prices. So keep trading. Keep trading. The greed has gone. The new money has been wiped out. And yeah, let's all enjoy the next phase of this market cycle. So what happened back here maybe, or what happened back here maybe, or what happened back here maybe. Let's enjoy this phase, and then position yourself nicely for what could potentially happen in the next phase. Cool. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. This is a half an hour long video. I have been rambling on for quite long enough. So I will see everyone in the Discord, and yeah, bye.